I grew up in the part of America where the Sons of Liberty threw the King's Tea into the harbor in 1773, with parents who wanted me to learn morality without imposing a source of morality upon me. Although this was intended to be liberating, I found it confusing, and I wanted to know the source of all that is right and true. When I was a teenager, I made a friend who told me that the source is God, and he has explained it to us in the Bible. I rejected it at first, offended by the requirement to face and reckon with my sin before a holy God. However, I felt the weight of my sin several years later, and so I submitted to the truth, and I accepted to receive and follow Christ. During my university years, I began to read the Bible, and I soon realized that my entire way of thinking and making decisions needed to change. I knew that my life should be different than it would be if I were not a Christian. When I was 19, I watched a film that gave me an example of such a life. The film was about Mariana Slocum, a woman who intended to marry and moved together with her husband to Mexico to work as a Bible translator among the Tzeltal people. Her fiancé died just days before the wedding, and so Mariana went alone. She eventually helped to complete 3 New Testaments in 3 different languages. I can still see the film if I close my eyes. I understood that a life faithful to Jesus is one of self-denial, not self-indulgence or self-protection. Having trained to be a teacher, I looked for a post where others would rather not teach. I moved to an impoverished area of Philadelphia, where I lived within walking distance of the school where I taught. In the evenings, I would read with children on my front porch, and I learned to see life through their eyes. I was convinced that I would spend all of my working years laboring for educational justice among the urban poor in America. But for various reasons, I started taking seminary classes. I so enjoyed studying Hebrew and Greek that I completed a degree in exegetical theology. This led me to combine a love for teaching reading with linguistics and Bible translation work. Still single in my mid-30s and feeling the weight of a lonely life, I asked God to make it count for something, to let me live in a way that I could not if I were a mother. Indeed, he did, sending me to a village in Africa that was a 3-day trek from the end of the road, where I began learning a then unwritten language. For the second time in my life, I was certain of a lifelong calling. However, 4 years later, I had the opportunity for a short pause to join a 2-week study tour in Israel and Jordan. On the same tour bus was the man I would marry less than 1 year later. I left Cameroon to join him in Scotland, and now we live in the middle of England with our beautiful daughter. From America to Africa to Scotland to England, I've learned that life with God involves a willingness to leave people and places I love, where I feel at home, to be a stranger, an outsider to the way of life surrounding me. Home is with God, and its fullness will only be known beyond this life. The joy along the journey is God's companionship, being at home with God, even as I move closer to an everlasting home. This is my story for God's glory. What's yours?
If you have any questions about what you've just watched, then leave us a comment in the comments section below, or get in contact at admin@countersthoughtbaptist.co.uk.